Hits 103.9 FM in Accra, in Kumasi on Love 99.5 FM, and over 30 affiliates across Ghana's 16 regions, including Sankara FM Yendi, Castle FM Cape Coast, Laura FM Laura, and Radio Max Takrady. Get radio, TV, and online content on the myjoyonline.com interactive app for Android and iOS devices. Coming up, Asante Hene initiates peace talks with feuding factions in the Boko conflict.
I am still on the Boko issue. I have called all factions separately. In peace and in truth, we will sit and listen to the issues.
Also, Gender Minister urges the public to report cases of abuse as she's optimistic other suspects involved in the beating and molestation of a 26-year-old woman in the Upper East region will be arrested.
So under the laws, they are there to fight for you if you report cases. And I will encourage everybody, no matter what, try to report to the police.
In business,
Chamber of Petroleum Consumers predicts fuel prices to go up tomorrow. We have details on the Joy Business Report.
And distinguished and outstanding words of President Akufo-Addo as he announces state-assisted burial for the late writer Amata Edu.
I was one of her admirers, outstanding writer, advocate, women's cause, the cause of Africans.
The late writer left specific instructions before her death.
He told us that when he passed on, he shouldn't be preserved for over 6 weeks.
We have details of these and more coming up shortly. I am Maame Esi Thompson. In our first story, the Asante Hene Otumfuo Saitutu II has initiated processes to help end the Boko chieftaincy dispute. The feuding factions in the area have already honored separate invitations from the Menshia Palace. The conflict, which has persisted for decades, has resulted in the loss of lives and property, stifling development in the area. Nana Yaljima has more on the following report.
Early this year, the installation of a new chief sparked violent disturbances in the area. Though efforts have been made in the past, including the deployment of military to solve the conflict, there have been no positive results yet. The Asante Hene, as part of an intervention, has met the parties separately to let down their weapons. The Otumfuo spoke about the mediation efforts when the Minister for Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs, Stephen Asamoah Boateng, paid a courtesy call on him. I am still on the Boko issue. I have called all factions separately. In peace and in truth, we will sit and listen to the issues. Both factions will be allowed to speak out, so we solve the issues. Already, I have spoken to the leaders of the factions and other relevant persons. Some have submitted documents to be studied, so we will look into all of them. We will all sit in one room and solve the issues. I have asked them to lay down their weapons. Chieftaincy Minister Stephen Asamoah Boateng revealed about 70% of community disturbances are traced to chieftaincy issues.
So for Otumfuo to take over, especially Boko, for us as a government, we are very, very happy. The president has given the go-ahead, and I have also been supportive. And for today, publicly, has even told us how he's met the factions. And at some of the meetings, he will call me to witness what's going on. But we leave it to him.
Love FM's Nana Yaljima's report. Now, Minister of Gender, Children and Social Protection, Larry Bazuwera Abudu, is urging the public to report cases of abuse to the police. She says Ghana's laws are deterrent enough, but perpetrators will go unpunished if the cases are not reported. She's optimistic other suspects involved in the beating and molestation of a 26-year-old woman in the Upper East region will be arrested.
The law are deterrent enough. We have to report to police. It's a culture of not reporting. If we report, then police will investigate and the law will take its own course. So we need to report cases like that. So under the laws, they are there to fight for you if you report cases. You
heard Minister of Gender, Children and Social Protection, Larry Bazuwera Abudu. The majority in Parliament says the NDC government has caused financial loss to the state with its signing of some power purchasing agreements. World Bank Country Director Pierre Laporte stirred controversy when he attributed the country's debt situation to some of those contracts, prompting a fiery response from the NDC, who accused him of engaging in local partisan politics. But addressing journalists, Chairman of the Mines and Energy Committee, Samuel Atachia, accused the Mahama government of causing financial loss to the state.
We wish to state that there is no third PPA for Asogli. Neither has the car power PPA has been extended to a regular PPA of 20 to 25 years. Negotiations for these PPAs are still underway. Take or pay. The take or pay is an inherited trouble. No dispute about it. It is not the making of President Kufuor, and it's kept the lights on.
Samuel Atachia is chairman of Mines and Energy Committee in Parliament. The Park Grant roundabout in Takoradi is named after one of Ghana's founding fathers, George Park Grant, a timber merchant from Western Region who paid for Dr. Kwame Nkrumah to travel down to Ghana from abroad to lead Ghana's fight to independence. Today, a place that bears his name has been abandoned by the government, and deeper potholes have taken over the area, causing huge traffic in Takoradi. Samuel Kojo-Brace has this report.
Potholes have been developed in the southern part of Runabout and northern part of Runabout being developed. It's a serious thing that we ought to look at. Unfortunately, we can't tie the reason why we can't do this road to Russian and Ukraine war and COVID.
That's Charles Mintaba, a social commentator in the Western Region, lamenting how deplorable the Park Grant roundabout is currently. The Park Grant roundabout is a very critical route in the Sekondi Takoradi metropolis. The sad story, however, is that the stretch is riddled with potholes.
The Park Grant roundabout here in the Sekondi Takoradi metropolis, named after one of Ghana's founding fathers, George Park Grant. How do we as a country intend to honor his memory? What we've decided to do is to honor him with potholes. Several potholes surround this roundabout.
Charles Mintaba is not happy.
So let's assume that Park Grant was seated here alive. Will we allow this road to deteriorate to this state?
Now, the presence of Sudan 4 dye in palm oil has been a public health concern due to its ability to cause cancer. Unfortunately, detecting it involves the use of expensive and sophisticated tools. What if you can simply use a mobile phone to detect the presence of this dye? That's what a research associate with the Responsible Artificial Intelligence Lab, KNUST, has done. Love FM's Kwesi Debra caught up with the developer Andrew Tang at the Africa AI Conference 2023 in Kigali, Rwanda.
In recent times, palm oil has been adulterated with Sudan 4 dye, other oils and sorghum leaf. Andrews built his AI-powered model using pure palm oil and various forms of adulterated palm oil. When the mobile app takes picture of the palm oil, is able to tell whether the palm oil has been adulterated or not.
Cameroon, Tanzania, these plenty African countries have recorded plenty incidents of adulterated palm oil. Usually, it takes longer for them to trace to even get the person. So usually when there's a food recall, then they can be able to trace and then find out that there's an adulteration. So you see, there's a recall. What if somebody could detect it at that moment? What if the consumer, as you go to buy this oil, you could just probably take an image of the palm oil and detect it. So we realized that for the consumer's sake, using images, we feed the model with image data, it will figure out the rest.
Reporting for Joy News, Kwesi Debra.
Now, President Akufo-Addo Dankwa has eulogized the late Amata Edu for her tremendous contributions to Ghana and Africa's development. He described the renowned playwright and poet as a big Ghanaian and one of the outstanding writers of her generation. The iconic writer passed away in the early hours of Wednesday, May 31, at the prime age of 81. The president announced a state-assisted burial for the writer at the Jubilee House when her family informed him of her demise.
I was one of her admirers. Outstanding writer, advocate, the women's cause, the cause of Africans, the progressive people around the world. I think she brought a lot to our country. By her works, by her personality, in my decision that she should be given a state-assisted funeral. She deserves it.
The late Ama Ata Edu, now the spokesperson for the family, Emmanuel Eduful Issa, said the late writer left specific instruction upon her demise.
Our mom, as she's Fanti and the traditional demands, she told us that when she passed on, she shouldn't be preserved for over 6 weeks. So we have to make immediate arrangement and inform the estate.
The late Amata Edu will be buried on July 13, and that ends this morning's bulletin. In our top story, Asante Hene initiates peace talks with feuding factions in the Boko conflict. I'm Maame Esi Thompson. The Super Morning Show continues.